Today you will be learning lesson 5.4 on point-slope form. Point-slope form is an equation of a non-vertical line with a slope of m going through an ordered pair called a point x1, y1. Okay? This equation looks like y minus y1 equals m times the quantity, parentheses, of x minus x1. Okay, the way we write these equations is we find our slope and we substitute that for m, okay, and the coordinates from the ordered pair for x1 and y1. Okay, so in that equation form, the y1 becomes a number, the m becomes a number, and the x1 becomes a number. Just like in the other equation forms we've done, okay, that regular, just plain x and y remain x and y. Nothing gets substituted in for those two numbers or those two letters when you're talking about writing the equation. Okay, the trick to this equation is if the coordinates are negative, so the ordered pair numbers, if they are negative, what happens is that these signs become positive, because when you minus a negative, that becomes an addition problem, and that's the biggest mistake people make when they're graphing from this form. So writing the equations. Okay, I want to write an equation in point-slope form for a line that passes through the point 3, 2, and has a slope of 2. Okay, so in this problem, they're giving me x1, and they're giving me y1, and they're giving me m. Okay, remember the equation form we're going for is y minus y1. Okay, so y stays y minus y1, which in our case is 2, equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. So m, they told us, is 2, times the quantity means parentheses of x minus x1, which is 3. Okay? And I just wrote an equation in point-slope form. Okay? So as long as you remember where to substitute in your numbers, this is a pretty simple equation to write when you're given an ordered pair and you're given the slope. Okay? Like I said, it becomes trickier when they give you an ordered pair that involves a negative. Okay, so when we look at the second problem, okay, on this one we're passing through the point 8, negative 4, and we have a slope of 2/3. So they're still giving me x1 and y1 and m. Okay, so y minus y1 would become y minus a negative 4, but remember when we write equations, we never have that double negative in them, so we really simplify it to y plus 4. Okay, and that's what I was talking about. When it's a negative number in your ordered pair, the equation becomes a positive. Equals m, which they told us is 2/3, times the quantity, so parentheses, of x minus x1, which they told me is 8. So x minus 8. And there's that equation in point-slope form. And the last one. Okay. They're giving me the ordered pair, negative 3, 5, having a slope of 4. So again, in my ordered pair, they're giving me x1 and y1, and the slope is always the letter m. So we have y minus y1, which is 5, equals m, which they told me is 4, times the quantity of x minus x1, but x1 is negative 3, so remember this minus becomes a plus, because minus a negative 3 is really plus 3. And you can go straight to writing that equation if it helps you to write minus that negative, so x minus a negative 3, if that helps you to write that form first, you should do that. If you can remember that before you write it down, change it to that plus sign right away. Okay? So if they don't give you the slope, whether they give you a graph or they give you ordered pairs, that's the first thing you need to find. Okay? So remember, you can find slope on a graph by using rise over run. And if they were to give you ordered pairs, you could use y minus y over x minus x. And you can do that for a graph too, completely your choice with method for slope you pick. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is find slope. So if I start at -2, -3, and I'm starting at this point, remember, because it's the point on the left, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So my rise is up 7, which means our rise is a positive 7. And our run over 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now 7/3 doesn't simplify, so I'm going to leave it as just 7/3. And the next step is choose either of your 2 points to write your equation. Okay, so you can choose either one of those ordered pairs. Okay, I'm going to write them both to show you what one of them would look like, or each of them would look like. So if I choose 1, 4, okay, the x1 here is 1, the y1 is the 4. So my equation would be y minus y1, so y minus 4 equals m, which is 7/3, times the quantity of x minus x1, so x minus 1. And there's my equation if I choose that first ordered pair. Okay. If I were to choose the second ordered pair, okay, that -1, okay, we choose the -2, -3, okay, then my x1 is going to be -2, y1 would be -3, and my m would still be that 7/3. And the reason you can pick either one is because when you distribute and get rid of those parentheses, they simplify to the same thing once you have it in y equals. Okay? So notice both of these are negative, so when I substitute them in, remember my equation is going to become a positive. So we would have y minus y1, which is -3, so it's y plus 3, equals m, which is 7/3, times the quantity of x minus x1, but again it's -2, so it becomes x plus 2. And there's your second equation. So you could use either one of those would be correct. Okay? And you only have to write one. Make sure you're checking your directions on your assignment today so they tell you to use a certain order pair. But as long as it doesn't tell you, you can pick either option. Okay? So another one, starting at -2, -3 again, but this time we're ending at 4, 2. So the first thing I need to find is my slope. So I'm going to start at the point on the left, and this time I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise, since we went up, is a positive, and it's 5 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so my slope is 5, 6, and again, I can choose either ordered pair. So if I choose this first one, 4, 2, okay, x1 is 4, y1 is 2, so my equation would be y minus 2, because y1 equals my m, so 5, 6, times the quantity of x minus 4, for subbing in for that x1. Okay. If I were to choose the second order pair, okay, the -2, -3, okay, when I substitute this time, both of them are again going to become addition signs because both my numbers are negative, and I have y plus 3, subbing in for y1, equals m, which is still going to be the same no matter which point I pick, so 5, 6, times the quantity of x plus 2, subbing in that x1, okay? Again, they became positive because we would have a double negative if we didn't switch it to that plus sign. Okay. So, writing an equation from a table, okay, it says the table shows the number of gallons of water, Y, in the tank after X hours. The relationship is linear. What is an equation in point-slope form that models the data? And what does the slope represent? Okay. So what we have to do first is find our slope. And from a table, you can have two options. Okay, we can do change in Y over change in X. Or you can again use your slope formula. It doesn't matter. Okay? So, or you can go x or y minus y over x minus x. Either method will help you find your slope. I'm going to do this one. Okay? Now they tell me it's linear, so I really only have to find one change, because when I look at these x's, here we're going up 1, here we're going up 2, and here we're going up 3, but they're already telling me it's linear, so I'm going to choose this change of 1. Okay? So from 3,320 to 4,570 is a change of 1,250. Okay? So to find my m, my change in y is 1,250, and it's going up, so it's positive, over from 2 to 3 is 1, which simplifies to 1,250. Okay, now they do ask me what does that slope represent, so that means right away I need to label that, okay, which whenever they're asking what does the slope represent, they want you to label it using the word per. That's your interpreting of your slope, your rate of change. Okay, so to do that, it's 1,250 gallons per hour. Okay, change in y per change in x. Okay, gallons per hour. Okay, and so what that means is that the volume of water increases, so the amount of water in the tank increases by 1,250 gallons per hour. And that's interpreting that slope, or representing what the slope represents. Okay? So back to writing that equation. Okay? In order to write that equation, remember, I need a ordered pair. And remember, you can pick any ordered pair you want to, okay, from your table. Doesn't matter which one you pick. So I'm just going to pick the third one. Okay, you can pick any single one of them you want, as long as you're plugging in this one for x, 1, and this one for your y, 1. Okay, so this is x1, this is y1. Okay, so my equation would be y minus my y1, which is 70,070, or 7,070, equals my m, which is going to be 1250, times the quantity of x minus x1, which is x minus 5. And there's my equation in point slope form. Okay? If I would have chosen this first one, okay, my equation, I can write those down quick, would be y minus 3,320 equals 1250 times the quantity of x minus 2. If I would have chose the second one, it would have been y minus 4,570 equals 1250 times the order, or times the quantity of x minus 3. And if I would have chose the last one, it'd be y minus 10,820 equals m, so 1250 times the quantity of x minus 8. Okay? Any of these four equations would have been the same, would have been correct. Okay? Any of them would work, just depending on which ordered pair you chose. So for the second half of the lesson today is on how to graph from point slope form. Okay? When you have point slope form, they're giving you your slope and they're giving you an ordered pair to start from. Okay? This is kind of like graphing from slope intercept form. Okay? But when they gave us slope intercept form, our point was always on the y-axis. Okay? These ones are not. Right? So these ones are going to be anywhere in your graph, and from that point you just need to move according to your slope. Okay? Now the trickiest part of this, okay, is to remember if your plus or negatives, or your operations in the problem are plus, the coordinate is really negative. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is look at our equation, and we're going to identify our ordered pair, which in this case, here's my y1 and here's my x1. Okay? But remember, our equation has to be minus, so this one's going to be minus a negative. Okay? So my ordered pair they're giving me is 4, negative 7. Okay, so that's my starting point. I'm going to go over to 4 and down to 7, which is in between the negative 6 and negative 8. Okay, now from that point, my slope is negative 4 fifths. Okay, negative 4 fifths. Which means my rise is negative 4 and my run is 5. So if I have to go down 4, notice here's down 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be halfway to another one. Okay, over 5, okay, notice this is going by 2s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there would be my next dot. And the last thing, connect them with a line. And again, unless it's a word problem, that line should have arrows at both ends. Okay, so to graph from Poinsot form, you first plot your ordered pair the equation provides you with, and then move according to the slope. Okay, so in this one, okay, you need to first identify my ordered pair. Both of my signs are negative, which is what we want. So my x1 is with x, y1 is with y. Okay, so this ordered pair is 2, 2, and my slope for this problem is 1/2. Okay, so that means I'm going to start at the ordered pair 2, 2, so over 2 and up 2. From there, they're telling me to go up 1, over 1, 2. And that's where my next dot goes. And once I have those 2 dots, I can draw a line to connect them. And if you want to make sure your line's nice and straight, remember you can always go up 1 and over 2 more to make sure you get that line nice and straight. Okay? Or down 1, back 2 to again make sure that line's nice and straight. Okay? So the next one, okay, this time notice my equation has a plus sign, so I'm going to rewrite it. You don't have to do this if you can remember, but it might help some of you. So y minus a negative 1. So here's my y1 value, here's my x1 value. Okay? So my ordered pair is 1, negative 1, and my slope is 2. But remember to graph, your slope has to be a fraction, so we really have a slope of 2 over 1. Okay? So to graph, I'm going to start by going over 1, down 1 at that ordered pair. From there, I'm going to go up 1, 2, and over 1 to get my next dot. And again, if you want more to help you draw a nice straight line, you can keep going with that slope of up 2, over 1, or you can keep going down 2, back 1. Okay? Getting more dots to connect so you have a nice and straight line. And there's your graph. Okay? And that is point slope form.